If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Sharing it with your friends and family helps spread knowledge, and when we help others grow, we grow too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's dive into the podcast. Chapter 1, The Eternal Stage, Foundations of Existence. Part 1, In the Beginning, the Cosmic Creation and Brahman. In the ancient words of the holy books, before time began and space was born, there was only Brahman. This great truth was without beginning and without end. It was pure being, pure knowledge, and pure joy all as one. The sacred Rig Veda tells us that in the beginning, there was neither existence nor non-existence. There was no air and no sky beyond it. What covered everything? Where was it? In whose protection? Was there water, deep and unfathomable? From this mystery came the first stirring. The one breathed, without breath, by its own power. Other than that, there was nothing else at all. In the beginning was darkness hidden by darkness. All this was water without form. That which was covered by emptiness, that one was born through the power of heat. The Upanishads speak of how desire first arose in the one. This was the first seed of mind. The wise ones, searching in their hearts with wisdom, found the bond between existence and non-existence. From Brahman came space. From space came air. From air came fire. From fire came water. From water came earth. From earth came plants. From plants came food. From food came the human being. The sacred texts describe the cosmic being who gave himself as sacrifice. When the gods offered this great being in sacrifice, it became the source of all creation. From this sacrifice came the verses and chants. From it came the different types of people. From it came animals both wild and tame. His mouth became the priest. His arms became the warrior. His thighs became the merchant and farmer. From his feet came those who serve. The moon was born from his mind. The sun came from his eyes. From his breath came the wind. From his navel came space. This cosmic sacrifice was not done with violence, but with love. The great being offered himself willingly so that all life could exist. This shows that giving and sacrifice are at the heart of all existence. All beings come from Brahman and return to Brahman. Just as rivers flow into the ocean and lose their separate names and forms, so do all beings merge back into their source. A person who knows this truth sees the same eternal spirit in all creatures and sees all creatures in that spirit. The wise ones say that Brahman is like a spider that spins out the web of creation from itself and then draws it back in. Everything that exists is connected because everything comes from the same source. The earth, water, fire, air, and space are all expressions of this one reality. This great truth cannot be fully described in words because it is beyond all description. It is smaller than the smallest and larger than the largest. It is closer than breath and farther than the farthest star. Those who try to know it through thinking alone cannot grasp it, but those who approach with pure hearts can experience its presence. From this understanding comes the foundation of all spiritual seeking. Knowing that all existence springs from one source, the wise person treats all life with respect and works toward returning to this eternal home. Part 2, The Soul's Journey. Atman and the Cycle of Birth and Death. In this existence, every being carries within them something that never dies. The sacred texts call this the Atman, the individual soul. This soul is your true self, beyond your body, beyond your mind, beyond all that changes and passes away. The Atman is eternal and pure. It cannot be cut by weapons, burned by fire, wetted by water, or dried by wind. It has no birth and no death. When the body dies, the Atman continues its journey, moving from one life to another, like a person changing old clothes for new ones. This journey through many lives is called samsara. The soul moves through countless births, sometimes in human form, sometimes as animals, sometimes as other beings. Each life offers new lessons and new chances to grow in wisdom and understanding. What determines where the soul goes next? This is decided by karma, the law of action and consequence. Every action you take, every word you speak, every thought you think creates karma. Good actions create good karma, bringing happiness and favorable circumstances in future lives. Bad actions create bad karma, leading to suffering and difficult situations. Karma works like a seed planted in the earth. A good seed grows into a healthy tree that gives sweet fruit. A bad seed produces thorns and bitter taste. Similarly, your actions in this life plant seeds that will grow into your experiences in future lives. The soul remembers nothing of past lives, but karma carries forward. A person who helps others and lives with kindness may be born into a loving family with good health and opportunities. Someone who harms others and lives selfishly may face hardship, illness, or loneliness in the next birth. This cycle continues until the soul learns all its lessons and becomes pure enough to return to its source. When all karma is resolved and the soul realizes its true nature as one with Brahman, it achieves moksha, final liberation. Then the cycle of birth and death ends forever. Among all forms of life, human birth is most precious. Only as a human being can the soul make conscious choices about right and wrong. Animals follow their nature without choice. Humans alone can choose to do good, to seek truth, and to work toward liberation. The wise understand that this human life is a rare gift. They do not waste it on temporary pleasures, but use it to purify their hearts and minds. They know that death is not the end, but merely a doorway to the next chapter of their eternal journey. Every soul is on this same path, though each moves at its own pace. Some take many lifetimes to learn simple lessons. Others advance quickly through right understanding and good conduct. But all souls will eventually find their way home to the divine source from which they came. This teaching gives meaning to every experience, whether pleasant or painful. Each situation offers a chance to grow, to learn, and to move closer to the ultimate goal of reuniting with the eternal reality that is the foundation of all existence. Part 3. The Web of Illusion, Maya, Duality, and Suffering. The soul continues its journey through countless births, yet something keeps it from seeing its true nature. This something is called Maya. Maya means the power that hides reality from us. It makes us think we are separate from God when we are actually one with the divine source. Maya works like a thick fog that covers our eyes. We cannot see clearly through this fog. We think the world we see is the only reality. We believe our body, our thoughts, and our feelings are who we truly are. But this is not the truth. Our real self is the eternal soul that never dies and never changes. Because of Maya, we see everything as separate from ourselves. We think, I am this person, you are that person, this is my family, that is your family. We divide the world into pieces. We create differences where none truly exist. All these divisions exist only in our mind, not in reality. This false seeing creates what we call duality. Duality means seeing two things where there is only one. We see happiness and sadness as different. We see good and bad as opposite. We see ourselves as separate from God and from each other. But in truth, all things come from the same divine source. From duality comes all our suffering. When we think we are separate, we become afraid. We fear losing what we have. We want things we do not have. We become angry when things do not happen as we wish. We feel sad when we lose something or someone we love. The mind caught in Maya is like a person who dreams at night. In the dream, everything seems real. The person feels joy and fear, sees friends and enemies. But when they wake up, they realize it was all in their mind. Nothing in the dream was truly real. Our waking life is similar to this dream. What we think is real is actually Maya showing us false pictures. The world exists, but not in the way we think it exists. Everything is actually God appearing in different forms. The tree, the mountain, other people, even our own body, are all God wearing different masks. This teaching does not mean the world is worthless or that we should ignore it. Maya is also God's power. It serves a purpose in God's plan. Through Maya, the one divine consciousness experiences itself as many different beings. Each soul must learn to see through Maya to find its true nature. Some schools of thought say Maya is completely false, like seeing a rope and thinking it is a snake. Others say Maya is real but temporary, like waves on the ocean. The waves are real water, but they are not permanent forms. They rise and fall while the ocean remains. All schools agree on this. Maya causes ignorance, and ignorance causes suffering. When we do not know our true nature, we attach ourselves to things that change and pass away. We try to find lasting happiness in temporary things. This always leads to disappointment and pain. The first step to freedom is recognizing that Maya exists. We must understand that our usual way of seeing is not complete. There is a deeper truth waiting to be discovered behind the appearance of separation. Part 4. The Sacred Duty. Dharma as the first guiding light. There is a sacred order that holds the universe together. This order is called Dharma. It is the righteous way, the proper path, and the duty that each person must follow. Just as the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, Dharma is the natural law that governs all life. Every person is born with duties. These duties are like a sacred thread that connects them to their family, their community, and the entire world. A student must learn with dedication. A householder must care for their family and earn honestly. A ruler must protect their people with justice. A teacher must share knowledge truthfully. Each person's dharma is different, but all dharma serves the same purpose: to maintain balance and order in creation. The wise ones say that dharma is like a great wheel. When everyone performs their righteous duties, the wheel turns smoothly and brings prosperity to all. But when people abandon their dharma and follow only their desires, the wheel breaks and chaos spreads through the world. Wars begin, families fall apart, and suffering increases everywhere. In the great battle described in our sacred books, Prince Arjuna stood on the battlefield, confused about his duty. He saw his relatives and teachers on the opposing side and did not want to fight them. But Lord Krishna taught him that abandoning one's dharma leads to greater harm than fulfilling it with a pure heart. Arjuna's dharma as a warrior required him to fight for justice, even when it was painful. The ancient texts tell us that dharma has 4 pillars: truth, compassion, purity, and charity. When these 4 pillars are strong, society flourishes like a garden in spring. When they weaken, everything begins to decay. Truth means speaking honestly and acting fairly. Compassion means caring for all living beings. Purity means keeping the body, mind, and actions clean. Charity means giving help to those in need. Dharma is not the same for everyone. A farmer's duty is different from a king's duty. A child's dharma differs from an elderly person's dharma, but the essence remains the same. Each person must act according to their nature, abilities, and position in life while serving the greater good. The scriptures warn that ignoring dharma brings terrible consequences. When people act only for personal gain without considering their duties, they create negative karma that follows them through many lifetimes. But those who faithfully follow their dharma, even when it is difficult, purify their souls and move closer to liberation. Dharma is like the first lamp that lights up the dark path of life. Without this light, people stumble in ignorance and fall into the pit of selfish actions. With Dharma as their guide, they can walk steadily toward truth and eventually reach the divine source from which all duties arise. This sacred duty is not a burden, but a blessing. Through Dharma, ordinary actions become acts of worship, and daily life becomes a path to the divine. Part 5. Paths diverge. Stages of life, ashramas, and their purposes. As the seeker walks the path of Dharma, the scriptures teach that life unfolds through 4 sacred stages. These stages, called ashramas, guide every person from birth to final liberation. Each stage has its own purpose, its own duties, and its own way of bringing the soul closer to truth. The first stage is brahmacharya, the time of the student. In this period, the young person lives in celibacy and devotion to learning. The sacred texts say that during these years, one must serve the teacher with complete surrender. The student studies the Vedas, learns sacred rituals, and builds the foundation of spiritual knowledge. This is the time to gather fuel for the fire of wisdom that will burn throughout life. The scriptures declare that without proper learning in youth, the later stages become like houses built on weak ground. The student must control desires, speak truth, and practice discipline. Through study and service, the mind becomes pure and ready to receive higher wisdom. The teacher is treated as divine, for through the teacher flows the knowledge of ages past. When learning is complete, the person enters grihastha, the householder stage. This is not a step backward, but a sacred duty. The scriptures honor the householder above all others, for they support the entire world. The householder marries, raises children, earns wealth through righteous means, and performs duties to family and society. The sacred texts teach that the householder feeds the hungry, protects the weak, and maintains the balance of creation. Through family life, one learns sacrifice and love. The wife and husband together perform sacred rituals. They raise children in Dharma and pass wisdom to the next generation. Even while engaged in worldly affairs, the householder remembers the divine and acts with righteousness. The third stage is vanaprastha, the forest dweller. When hair turns gray and grandchildren are born, the scriptures say it is time to step back from active worldly life. The person may live in solitude or with their spouse, focusing more on spiritual practices. Worldly possessions become less important. The mind turns inward, preparing for the final stage. During this time, one studies sacred texts more deeply, performs austerities, and serves others without seeking reward. The forest dweller begins to see the temporary nature of all material things. This stage teaches detachment while still maintaining some connection to the world. The final stage is sannyasa, complete renunciation. The scriptures describe this as the highest calling, where one abandons all worldly ties and seeks only liberation. The renunciant owns nothing, depends on divine providence, and dedicates every moment to realizing truth. They wander freely, teaching others through their example. These 4 stages create a complete life dedicated to both worldly duty and spiritual growth. Each stage prepares for the next, like steps leading to the temple of liberation. Chapter 2. Seeking Fulfillment, the 4 Aims of Life. Part 1. Dharma, living with principle and purpose. The wise one who follows the path of Dharma speaks thus: when a person is born into this world, they carry with them a sacred duty. This duty comes from the divine order that holds all creation together. Just as the sun must shine and the rivers must flow, every person must live according to their Dharma. Dharma is the righteous way of living. It is doing what is right and good, not just for oneself, but for all beings. The sacred texts tell us that Dharma has 4 legs, like a strong table. These legs are truth, mercy, cleanliness, and self-control. When all 4 legs are strong, Dharma stands firm. When even one leg becomes weak, Dharma begins to shake. Every person has duties that come from their place in life. The student must learn with respect and humility. The householder must care for family, earn money honestly, and serve guests. The ruler must protect the people and punish wrongdoers fairly. The holy person must seek God and teach others. These duties are not burdens, but gifts that help each soul grow closer to the divine. The mother has Dharma toward her children. The father has Dharma toward his family. The child has Dharma toward parents. The ruler has Dharma toward subjects. The teacher has Dharma toward students. When each person does their duty with love and without selfishness, the whole world stays in balance. But Dharma is not just following rules. It lives in the heart. When facing a difficult choice, a person should ask, what would a pure soul do? What brings the greatest good to all beings? What honors the divine spark in every living thing? The answer that comes from a clean heart is Dharma. The great teaching says that Dharma protects those who protect Dharma. When people live righteously, nature gives good harvests, rulers govern wisely, and peace fills the land. When Dharma is forgotten, storms come, kingdoms fall, and suffering spreads like wildfire. Dharma changes its outer form, but never its inner truth. A child's Dharma is different from an adult's Dharma. A king's Dharma differs from a farmer's Dharma. But all Dharma serves the same purpose, to bring each soul closer to God while helping all creation flourish. The person who lives by Dharma may face hardships. They may lose wealth or comfort. Others may mock them for their principles. But their inner light grows brighter with each righteous act. They sleep peacefully, knowing they have harmed no one. They face death without fear, knowing they have lived as they should. This is the first and most important aim of human life. Without Dharma, other goals become empty or even harmful. With Dharma as the foundation, a person can safely seek prosperity, enjoy life's pleasures, and eventually find complete freedom from all earthly bonds. Part 2. Artha. Desiring prosperity and success. With Dharma as your guide, you may now pursue Artha, the second aim of life. Artha means seeking material wealth, security, and success. The sacred texts do not condemn this desire. They teach that earning money and gaining prosperity is both proper and necessary for most people. Why is wealth needed? A person cannot fulfill their duties without resources. The householder must feed their family, educate their children, and care for their parents. They must support their community and help those in need. They cannot do these things without money and property. Poverty often prevents people from living righteously. When hunger tortures the body, the mind struggles to remain pure. The Mahabharata says that wealth is the root of Dharma. Without money, you cannot perform the duties that bring you closer to the divine. You cannot give charity to the poor. You cannot perform religious ceremonies. You cannot travel to holy places. You cannot buy the tools needed for your work. Therefore, seeking prosperity serves a sacred purpose. But there are rules for how wealth must be gained. The texts warn against earning money through dishonest means. Do not steal from others. Do not lie in your business dealings. Do not cheat your workers or customers. Do not harm others to gain profit. Do not take bribes or break your promises for money. Such actions create bad karma that will bring suffering later. Instead, earn wealth through your own skills and honest work. Use your talents to serve others and receive fair payment. If you are a farmer, grow good crops. If you are a merchant, sell quality goods at honest prices. If you are a teacher, share true knowledge. If you are a ruler, protect your people fairly. This is righteous prosperity. Greed is the enemy of proper wealth seeking. When desire for money becomes endless, it destroys the soul. The greedy person lies, steals, and harms others. They forget their duties to family and community. They lose sleep worrying about their possessions. They trust no one and find no peace. This is not the path of Artha, but it's corruption. The wise person seeks enough wealth to fulfill their responsibilities and enjoy life's pleasures in moderation. They share their good fortune with others. They use their resources to support Dharma and help those in need. They remain grateful for what they have while working for what they need. Remember that wealth alone cannot bring lasting happiness. Money is a tool, not a goal in itself. It should serve your higher purposes, not master your life. The person who gains the whole world but loses their soul has failed completely. Pursue prosperity with clean hands and a pure heart. Let Dharma guide your efforts always. Part 3. Kama, the celebration of pleasure and love. Life gives us many joys and pleasures. These are not evils to be avoided. They are gifts from the divine to be enjoyed with wisdom and proper limits. This is the teaching of Kama, the third great aim of human life. The person who lives only for duty but never knows joy becomes dry and bitter. The soul needs nourishment through beauty, love, and pleasure, just as the body needs food and water. When Dharma guides your choices, you may freely enjoy the sweetness that life offers. Love between husband and wife is sacred. It creates new life and binds families together. The scriptures praise the householder who finds delight in marriage and family. Such love, when pure and faithful, purifies the heart and brings divine blessing. The couple who honors each other with affection serves the cosmic order. Music, dance, poetry, and art feed the spirit. These creations reflect divine beauty in earthly form. The artist who works with skill and devotion offers worship through their craft. The person who enjoys such beauty with an open heart receives divine grace. Art connects us to truths beyond ordinary experience. Good food, prepared with care and eaten with gratitude, becomes a form of worship. The taste of sweet fruits, the fragrance of flowers, the warmth of sunlight on skin. These simple pleasures remind us of divine presence in all things. When we receive them with thankful hearts, they become spiritual practice. Even sexual desire has its proper place when guided by Dharma. It creates bonds between souls and brings forth new life. The ancient teachers did not condemn these natural urges, but showed how to express them with honor and restraint. Marriage provides the sacred space where physical love serves higher purposes. But Kama without Dharma becomes dangerous. Pleasure pursued without limits destroys both the seeker and others. The person who lives only for sensation becomes a slave to appetite. Their desires grow stronger, while their capacity for joy grows weaker. They harm themselves and all around them. The wise enjoy pleasures when they come, but do not chase them desperately. They appreciate beauty, but do not become attached to possessing it. They love deeply, but without jealousy or possessiveness. They taste life's sweetness, while remembering that all earthly joys must pass away. Through proper enjoyment of Kama, the soul learns important lessons. Pleasure shows us glimpses of divine bliss. Love teaches us to care for others. Beauty opens our hearts to truth. These experiences prepare us for the highest spiritual realizations. Let Dharma be your guide as you walk this path. Enjoy the gifts of life with gratitude and moderation. Share your joy with others. Remember always that even the greatest earthly pleasures are only shadows of the eternal happiness that awaits the liberated soul. Part 4. Moksha, the ultimate liberation. When all earthly desires have been fulfilled, and the heart grows weary of temporary pleasures, the soul begins its final journey toward moksha. This is liberation from the endless cycle of birth and death. It is the highest goal of human existence, beyond Dharma, Artha, and Kama. Moksha means complete freedom from all bondage. The soul that achieves moksha never again takes birth in this world of suffering. It merges with Brahman, the eternal reality that is the source of all existence. This is not death, but the discovery of true life. This is not loss, but the finding of everything that is real and lasting. There are different paths to reach this supreme goal. Some follow the paths of knowledge, studying the sacred texts and meditating on the true nature of the self. They learn that the individual soul and Brahman are one. Through deep understanding, they realize that all separation is an illusion. When ignorance disappears, liberation comes naturally. Others choose the path of devotion, offering their hearts completely to the divine. They surrender all desires and actions to God. Through pure love and dedication, their ego dissolves. What remains is only divine consciousness. This surrender brings them to the same destination as knowledge. Still others practice yoga, controlling their breath and mind through disciplined effort. They withdraw their senses from worldly objects and turn their attention inward. In the silence of deep meditation, they discover their true nature. This direct experience leads to permanent liberation. Many seekers combine all these methods. They study sacred wisdom while cultivating devotion and practicing meditation. Knowledge purifies the mind. Devotion opens the heart. Yoga strengthens the will. Together, these create the perfect conditions for liberation. The person walking toward moksha gradually lets go of worldly attachments. Material possessions lose their grip. Personal relationships become less important than spiritual growth. Even the body is seen as temporary clothing for the eternal soul. This detachment does not mean cruelty or indifference. It means freedom from the fear and anxiety that come from clinging to things that must pass away. As liberation approaches, the seeker experiences profound peace. The mind becomes still, like a deep lake with no waves. Desires fade away naturally, because nothing external can satisfy the soul that has tasted divine bliss. Time seems to stop. Past and future dissolve into an eternal present moment. When moksha finally comes, all sense of individual identity disappears. There is no longer a separate person who suffers or enjoys. Only pure consciousness remains, infinite and unchanging. This is the goal toward which all spiritual practice points. This is the destination that makes all earthly struggles worthwhile. Part 5. Karma, the law of cause and effect. Every action creates a result. This is the eternal law that governs all existence. When you plant a seed, you will harvest the fruit. When you speak harsh words, harshness returns to you. When you show kindness, kindness flows back into your life. This is karma, the divine law that ensures perfect justice across all time. Your actions today shape your tomorrow. Your thoughts and deeds in this lifetime determine your next birth. If you live with truth and compassion, you will be born into circumstances that reflect these qualities. If you act with cruelty and selfishness, suffering will follow you like a shadow. Nothing escapes this cosmic balance. The law operates beyond a single lifetime. The soul carries the weight of all its actions from birth to birth. A king who rules justly may be born as a wise teacher. A merchant who cheats others may face poverty in the next life. The soul continues its journey, experiencing the exact consequences of every choice made. 3 types of karma bind every person. First is the karma you have already accumulated from past lives, which creates your present circumstances. Second is the karma you create through your current actions, which will affect your future. Third is the karma that is ready to bear fruit in this lifetime, which you must experience fully. Yet karma is not mere punishment or reward. It serves as the greatest teacher. Through experiencing the results of actions, the soul learns what brings happiness and what creates suffering. Pain teaches you to avoid causing pain to others. Joy shows you the path of righteous living. The wise person understands that freedom comes through right action. By performing your duties without attachment to results, you can escape the binding effects of karma. When you act only to serve the divine will, your actions become offerings rather than chains. This is the path that leads beyond karma to ultimate liberation. Even liberation requires the complete exhaustion of all accumulated karma. Every debt must be paid, every lesson learned, every consequence experienced. Only when the soul has balanced all accounts with the universe can it merge back into the source from which it came. The law of karma gives meaning to all suffering and joy. Nothing happens by accident. Every experience serves the soul's evolution toward toward perfect wisdom and compassion. Understanding this truth transforms how you live, making every moment an opportunity to create positive consequences that will bless your future. Through countless lifetimes, karma guides the soul home. Each action either moves you closer to or further from the ultimate goal of reunion with the divine. This is why the scriptures emphasize right living above all else. Your choices today echo through eternity. Chapter 3, Turning Inward, Paths to the Divine Part 1, The Call to Knowledge, Jnana Yoga and Inner Realization. The wise teacher spoke to his student who questioned the nature of reality. Listen to these words about the path of knowledge. The seeker who walks the path of knowledge asks deep questions. What is real and what is false? Who am I beyond this body and mind? What is the true nature of existence? These questions burn in the heart of one who seeks wisdom. The teacher said, "Child, look within yourself. That which you call I is not this changing body. It is not the thoughts that come and go like clouds in the sky. It is not the emotions that rise and fall like waves on the ocean. You are the eternal witness that sees all these changes. This true self that you are is called the Atman. It is pure consciousness itself. It never changes, never dies, never suffers. It is the same divine essence that exists in all beings. This one consciousness that appears as many is called Brahman. The path to know this truth requires three main practices. First is the study of sacred texts. Read the Upanishads and other scriptures with a pure heart. Let their words point you toward truth like a finger points to the moon. Second is constant inquiry into the nature of the self. Ask yourself throughout each day, who am I? Who is the one who thinks? Who is the one who experiences joy and sorrow? Keep asking until you find that which never changes within you. Third is the practice of discrimination. Learn to see the difference between what is real and what is temporary. The body ages and dies. It is not real. Thoughts come and go. They are not real. Emotions change constantly. They are not real. But that which witnesses all of this remains forever unchanged. That is your true nature. The great sage Shankara taught, "You are not the doer of actions. You are not the enjoyer of experiences. You are the pure awareness in which all experiences appear and disappear like dreams in sleep." When you practice this path with dedication, ignorance falls away like darkness before the rising sun. You realize that you were never separate from the divine. You were never bound. You were never limited. These were only false beliefs covering your true nature like clouds cover the sun. The moment this knowledge dawns, all seeking ends. You see that there was never anything to attain because you are already complete. There was never anywhere to go because you are already home. There was never anyone to become because you are already that which you sought. This is the ancient teaching passed down from teacher to student through countless generations. It is the direct path for those whose minds are sharp and whose hearts burn with the desire for truth above all else. Part 2. Works of Duty, Karma Yoga and Selfless Action. Lord Krishna spoke to Arjuna when he stood confused on the battlefield. The warrior prince saw his teachers and relatives standing ready to fight against him. His bow fell from his hands, and he said he could not fight. Then the Lord taught him the path of action without attachment. You have the right to perform your duty, but you do not have the right to the fruits of your actions. Do not let the results of action be your motive, but do not become attached to not acting either. This is the way of Karma Yoga. When you work without thinking of what you will gain, you become free. When you offer all your actions to the divine, your work becomes worship. Every task becomes sacred when done with the right spirit. Sweep the floor for God. Cook food as an offering. Speak words as prayers. Live each moment as service. The wise person sees no difference between success and failure. They remain calm whether people praise them or blame them. Their mind stays steady like a mountain in wind. They work because work must be done, not because they want something from it. Some people think they must leave the world to find God, but the Lord teaches a different way. Stay in the world and do your duties, but change how you do them. A mother caring for her child can reach the divine just like a monk in the forest. A farmer working his fields can find the same peace as a scholar studying scriptures. The secret is in the attitude of the heart. When you act for yourself, you create bonds. When you act for others and for God, you become free. Your actions become like flowers offered at the altar. They please the divine and purify your heart. Do not worry about being perfect. Even failed attempts at selfless action bring you closer to freedom. Better is your own duty done poorly than another's duty done well. When you follow your nature and serve others, you walk the path that leads to liberation. The person who has learned this wisdom acts without strain. They work hard but without worry. They care deeply but without attachment. They love fully but without possession. This is the way of the karma yogi, the path of selfless action that leads to the highest goal. In this way, through dedicated work offered to the divine, the seeker finds that action itself becomes a form of worship and a means to spiritual freedom. Part 3. Love and Devotion. Bhakti Yoga's Path of the Heart. There is a path that flows like a river from the heart. It is the path of Bhakti, the way of love and devotion to God. This sacred way does not require great learning or difficult practices. It asks only for a heart that can love purely and surrender completely. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks of this path with great tenderness. He says to Arjuna, "Whosoever offers to me with devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I accept that offering of love from the pure-hearted one." The Lord does not seek costly gifts or grand ceremonies. He wants only the sincere offering of a devoted heart. The path of Bhakti begins with simple acts of remembrance. The devotee thinks of God throughout the day. In the morning, they offer their first thoughts to the divine. When they eat, they remember that all food comes from God's grace. When they work, they dedicate their efforts as service to the Lord. In this way, every moment becomes an act of worship. Many great saints have walked this path and shown its power. Prahlada, though still a child, loved God so deeply that no threat could shake his faith. When his father tried to kill him for his devotion, God himself appeared to protect the young devotee. This shows that when love for God is pure and complete, the Lord himself becomes the protector. Mirabai, the princess who became a wandering saint, sang songs of love for Krishna. She gave up royal comfort and social respect for the joy of singing God's names. Her heart was so full of divine love that she felt no pain from the world's rejection. Through her songs, she taught that true happiness comes only from connection with God. The devotee learns to see God everywhere. In the temple, they bow with reverence. At home, they create a sacred space for prayer. They chant God's names, sing devotional songs, and read sacred stories. But most important, they learn to love God not for what they can gain, but simply because God is worthy of all love. Krishna explains that this path transforms the heart completely. The devotee who loves God with pure intention becomes free from anger, greed, and fear. Their mind becomes peaceful. Their actions become kind. They see all beings as children of the same divine parent. In surrender, the bhakti seeker finds the greatest freedom. They offer their ego, their desires, and their will to God. They say, "Not my will, but thy will be done." In this complete giving up of personal wants, they discover that God's will brings the highest joy. This is the path of the heart, Bhakti Yoga. Through love, surrender, and constant remembrance of God, the devotee finds that the divine responds with infinite grace and protection. Part 4. The Discipline of the Spirit, Raja Yoga and Meditation. While the path of devotion opens the heart, another way leads to God through the mastery of mind and body. This is Raja Yoga, the royal path of discipline and meditation. The ancient sage Patanjali taught this way to seekers who wish to control their thoughts and find the divine within. The royal path has 8 steps, like rungs on a ladder to heaven. The first 2 steps prepare the seeker's character. Yama teaches right conduct, not harming others, speaking truth, taking only what is needed, keeping the body pure, and not wanting what others have. Niyama teaches good habits, cleanliness of body and mind, contentment with what one has, discipline in practice, study of holy books, and surrender to God. The third step is asana, the practice of sitting still. The body must be steady and comfortable, like a mountain that does not move in wind or storm. When the body sits without pain or restlessness, the mind becomes calm. The fourth step is pranayama, the control of breath. As breath flows, so flows the life force within. By making the breath slow and steady, the seeker gains power over the restless mind. The fifth step is pratyahara, turning the senses inward. Just as a turtle pulls its limbs into its shell, the yogi pulls the senses away from outside things. The eyes do not chase after sights. The ears do not run after sounds. The tongue does not crave tastes. All attention turns within, like a river flowing back to its source. The sixth step is dharana, holding the mind on one point. Like a lamp flame that does not flicker in still air, the mind stays fixed on the chosen object of meditation. This may be the breath, a sacred word, or the form of God. With practice, the scattered mind becomes like a focused beam of light. The seventh step is dhyana, deep meditation. Here, the seeker and the object of meditation flow together like oil poured in a steady stream. There is no effort, no struggle. The mind rests in its chosen focus as naturally as a river flows to the sea. The eighth and final step is samadhi, complete absorption. The seeker disappears into the object of meditation. There is no I meditating and no this being meditated upon. All becomes one. In this state, the individual soul recognizes its true nature as the universal self. Like a drop of water merging with the ocean, the seeker finds that the small self was always part of the infinite self. Through these 8 steps, the practitioner of Raja Yoga gains control over the modifications of mind. As the Yoga Sutras teach, when the waves of thought become still, the true self shines forth in its own pure nature. This is the goal of the royal path, not to gain something new, but to realize what was always present within. Part 5. Many rivers, one ocean, unity of paths and diversity of experience. As the sacred Bhagavad Gita teaches us, Lord Krishna speaks to Arjuna about the different paths that lead to the same divine truth. In whatever way people approach me, I welcome them. All paths, Arjuna, lead to me. These words show us that the divine accepts all sincere seekers, no matter which way they choose to walk. Some people find God through study and thinking deeply about truth. They ask questions like, who am I and what is real? These seekers of knowledge spend their time reading holy books and sitting quietly to understand the nature of the self. Their minds are sharp like swords, cutting through false ideas to reach the truth that lies beneath. Others find the divine through their daily work. They do their duties without wanting rewards for themselves. A farmer who works his fields, a teacher who helps students, a mother who cares for her family. When they do their work as an offering to God, their actions become prayers. Krishna tells us, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, give it all to me. Still others find God through love and devotion. Their hearts burn with affection for the divine. They sing songs of praise, visit temples, and feel deep emotion when they think of God. They see the beloved Lord in every face and hear His name in every sound. Their tears of joy become their offerings. Some choose the path of meditation and self-control. They sit in quiet places, control their breath, and turn their attention inward. Through practice, they learn to still their minds and find peace within themselves. In deep meditation, they discover that their small self is connected to the great self of all. The wise know that these paths are like different rivers flowing toward the same ocean. A person walking the path of knowledge is not better than one who serves others through work. The devotee singing to God is not less than the meditator sitting in silence. Each person must follow the way that matches their nature and heart. Krishna explains this truth. People worship me in many forms. Some see me as the formless truth beyond all names. Others worship me with form and qualities. Some serve me through their actions. All these ways of worship reach me, for I am the goal of every sincere heart. The beauty of this teaching is that no one is left out. The student and the worker, the lover and the thinker, the active person and the quiet one, all can find their way home to the divine. What matters is not which path we choose, but how sincere we are in walking it. Chapter 4, Climax and Resolution, the Realization of Oneness. Part 1, Awakening to the Self, Realization of Atman as Brahman. When the seeker has walked far on the path of knowing, there comes a moment of great awakening. The sacred texts speak of this as the highest wisdom. The Upanishads declare, that which is the self in you is the same as the self in all beings. What you truly are is what all existence truly is. The individual soul, called Atman, suddenly sees its true nature. Like a person waking from a dream, the seeker realizes that what they thought was separate was never separate at all. The small self they believed themselves to be was like a wave thinking it was different from the ocean. A great teacher once told his student, "You are that." These simple words carry the deepest truth. The student had spent years searching for God in temples and holy places. But the teacher showed him that what he sought was what he already was. The seeker and the sought were one. This knowing comes not through books or thinking, but through direct seeing. It is like suddenly recognizing your own face in a mirror after forgetting who you were. The Atman realizes it was never bound, never small, never separate. It was always Brahman, the infinite reality that is the source and essence of all. When this awakening happens, all ignorance falls away like darkness before the sunrise. The person sees that birth and death were like dreams within a dream. They understand that they never truly suffered, for suffering belonged only to the false idea of being separate. The sacred verse teaches, the wise one sees the same self in all beings and all beings in the self. For such a person, how can there be sorrow or confusion? This is not mere understanding with the mind, but knowing with the whole being. Fear disappears because there is nothing outside oneself to fear. Desire ends because there is nothing outside oneself to want. Anger cannot remain because there is no other to be angry with. All emotions that came from feeling separate naturally dissolve. Yet, this awakened one does not become empty or cold. Instead, they overflow with love for all existence, seeing it as their own self appearing in countless forms. They serve others not from duty, but from the natural expression of this unity. The scriptures say this realization can happen in a flash or grow slowly like dawn. Some reach it through devotion, others through knowledge, still others through selfless action. But however it comes, when the Atman knows itself as Brahman, the great journey of seeking ends. What remains is the joy of being what one has always been, knowing what one has always known. Loving what one has always loved, the one self appearing as the many. Part 2. Breaking the chains, Moksha and the end of rebirth. When the soul knows itself as the one self, the chains that have bound it for countless lives begin to break. The wise ones tell us that moksha, the final freedom, comes when all that seemed to separate us from the divine falls away like old clothes. This is not something that happens to us, but the recognition of what has always been true. The scriptures say that 3 chains bind the soul to endless birth and death. The first is ignorance, which makes us forget our true nature. The second is desire, which keeps us reaching for what we think will make us complete. The third is action done with the feeling that we are the doer, which creates karma that must be worked out in future lives. When the Great Awakening comes, these chains dissolve naturally. Ignorance cannot remain when we see clearly. Desires lose their power when we know we are already whole. Actions continue, but without the binding sense of being the one who acts. The body may still move through the world, but the soul stands free. The holy books describe this freedom in simple terms. They say the liberated one is like space itself, present everywhere, but touched by nothing. Like the sun that shines equally on all things, the freed soul sees the same self in saint and sinner, in rich and poor. In human and animal, such a being still feels compassion, but it flows naturally like water from a spring. There is no effort in loving, no choice in helping others. The heart that knows its unity with all life cannot help but care for every form that life takes. This love is not emotional, but comes from the direct seeing of oneness. The liberated soul may teach, may serve, may even seem to live an ordinary life, but inside there is complete peace. Nothing disturbs this peace because nothing is seen as separate from the self. Praise and blame, pleasure and pain, success and failure, all are watched with the same calm eye. Death holds no fear for such a one, because death is seen as simply another appearance in consciousness. The wave knows it was never separate from the ocean, so it cannot truly disappear when it settles back into the depths. This freedom, say the scriptures, can come suddenly like lightning or slowly like the dawn. It may arrive through years of spiritual practice or in a moment of complete surrender. But however it comes, when it is complete, the great journey of seeking ends. The soul that once wandered through countless forms and lives comes home to its source and knows that it never really left. Part 3. Returning to the world, the liberated soul in daily life. When the soul finds its true nature and knows itself as the eternal one, a great question arises. What happens next? Does the wise person leave the world behind and sit in silence forever? The ancient teachings tell us something different. They say that those who have found perfect knowledge continue to live and work in the world, but now they do so with complete freedom. These liberated souls move through daily life like actors who know they are playing parts in a great drama. They perform their roles perfectly, but they are not confused about who they really are. A king among them rules with justice, but feels no pride in power. A teacher teaches with love, but claims no credit for wisdom. A mother cares for her children with tenderness, but knows that all beings are equally her own. The scriptures describe such beings as those who have dropped all sense of being the doer. When they act, it is not from personal desire or fear, but from the natural flow of compassion. They see suffering and move to help, not because they feel they must, but because love flows through them like water through an open channel. They speak truth not to prove themselves right, but because truth seeks expression through them. These wise ones appear ordinary from the outside. They eat when hungry, sleep when tired, and respond to the needs around them. But inside, they rest in perfect peace. They have no more questions about who they are or what life means. This inner knowing changes everything about how they meet the world. Their very presence becomes a blessing. Without trying to teach or preach, they inspire others simply by being themselves. People feel peace around them without knowing why. Their actions show what it means to live without fear or greed. They demonstrate that it is possible to care deeply while holding nothing tightly. Such souls often become guides for those still searching. They share what they have learned, not as superior beings looking down, but as friends who have walked the path and can point the way. They know that each person must find truth for themselves, so they do not force their insights on anyone. Instead, they offer their understanding like a lamp that others can use to light their own way. The ancient stories tell of many such beings who lived among ordinary people while remaining rooted in the highest truth. They show us that perfect realization does not mean escape from the world, but perfect engagement with it. They prove that the highest spiritual achievement leads not to isolation, but to the deepest service and the purest love. Part 4. The ongoing story, legacy, influence, and modern perspectives. The truth that was found by those who came before us continues to flow through time like a great river. These ancient teachings about life's purpose have shaped the way people think, create, and live for thousands of years. They have become the foundation upon which entire societies have built their understanding of right and wrong, beauty and meaning. In the temples and homes of India, these ideas still guide daily worship and festivals. The stories of those who found their true nature are told again and again, reminding each generation that the same possibility lives within them. Artists carve these truths into stone, paint them on walls, and weave them into songs that carry the teachings forward. The wisdom flows through dance, poetry, and music, making the highest knowledge available to all people, whether they can read or not. The teachings have spread far beyond their birthplace. In many countries now, people study these ancient words and find in them answers to questions that trouble the modern heart. They discover that the search for meaning and the desire to know one's true nature are the same everywhere. Scientists and philosophers find that these old truths match new discoveries about the mind and the universe. Today's teachers carry forward the same understanding that was passed down through the ages. They show that the ancient path still works in modern life. They help people see that the noise and speed of today's world cannot touch the quiet truth that lives within. The same realization that freed the sages of old can free people now. Some worry that these old teachings might lose their power in the modern world. Others fear that changing them to fit new times might weaken them. But the deepest teachers know that real truth does not change with fashion or time. What changes is only the language and examples used to point toward what has always been there. The conversation between old wisdom and new knowledge continues to grow richer. Each generation finds fresh ways to express the timeless understanding. Each person who walks the path adds their own light to the great stream of seekers. The influence of these teachings can be seen in how people treat each other, in laws that protect the weak, in art that lifts the spirit. They remind humanity that each person carries within them the same divine spark, deserving of respect and love. This understanding creates communities based on truth rather than fear. The ancient promise remains as real today as it was thousands of years ago. Every person can discover their true nature and find lasting peace. Part 5. The Infinite Journey. Every life as a new beginning. In the great wheel of time, every soul begins again. Each birth brings new hope. Each death opens another door. The ancient teachings tell us that time itself moves in great circles, not straight lines. What appears to end is really beginning once more. The universe breathes in great cycles. Stars are born, live their lives, and return to the cosmic source, only to emerge again in new forms. Worlds come into being, flourish, and dissolve back into the great ocean of existence. Nothing is truly lost. Nothing is ever final. Every person who enters this world carries within them all the experiences of countless lifetimes. Like a river that never stops flowing, consciousness moves from one form to another, learning and growing with each journey. The farmer becomes the king, the student becomes the teacher, the seeker finds what they sought, and then seeks again at deeper levels. Each lifetime offers fresh chances to understand truth, The soul that struggled with anger in one birth may find patience in the next. The heart that was closed may open to love. Every experience, whether joyful or difficult, adds to the great treasury of wisdom that each soul carries forward. The scriptures teach that time moves in vast ages called yugas. These great periods repeat endlessly, like seasons in a cosmic year. In each age, souls have opportunities to grow, to serve, to learn the eternal truths. No matter how dark an age may seem, it always gives way to light again. Every soul's path is unique, yet all paths lead toward the same divine reality. Some learn through devotion, others through knowledge, still others through selfless action. The mountain has many faces, but the summit remains the same for all who climb. The great teachers remind us that every moment contains infinite possibility. Each breath is a new beginning. Each day offers chances to act with wisdom and compassion. Every encounter with another being is an opportunity to see the divine light that lives in all things. Even those who seem furthest from truth are actually walking the same endless journey. Their struggles and mistakes are part of the great learning that leads all souls home. The thief may become a saint. The proud may discover humility. The fearful may find courage. This understanding brings great comfort. No life is wasted. No effort is lost. Every kind word, every moment of clarity, every act of love adds to the great forward movement of all existence toward its divine source. The journey continues without end, but this endlessness is not a burden. It is the promise that there will always be new wonders to discover, new ways to grow, new opportunities to serve the greater good. Every soul is both ancient and eternally young, forever beginning the great adventure of returning to truth.